A lot of people have played MLB the Show for a long time and actually don't know what the stats do to their players. I'm here to describe what they actually do for your hitters and your pitchers. These stats have changed over the years and the things that affect them: power, contact, vision, clutch. So I'm here to talk to you about what it affects in MLB the Show 25. It likely will change in the future. Let's get into it. So let's start off with hitters. I've pulled up Carlos Beltran here, and we're going to go through the stats that are important and the ones that don't matter. We're going to start off with contact versus right and contact versus left. This affects your inner PCI when you are facing a pitcher. Your power versus right and left determines how hard a ball is hit and your exit velocities on a swing. Vision is a stat that's often overlooked. It changes the outside PCI, so if you're going to foul balls off, it's going to be much better for that. But it also changes the window in which your timing affects the pitch. So your just earlys and just lates on a lot of hitters that don't have good vision are probably going to turn into good or perfect timing on a better vision hitter. Discipline is one that's sort of important, not really. It affects your player's ability to check swing and check swing successfully. Clutch is an interesting one. Clutch takes over your contact versus right and left when there's runners in scoring position. Your clutch can still be affected by your contact versus right and left. Now, Carlos Beltran's a bad example because he has the same contact versus both sides. But if a hitter did have more contact, say versus left, like Chase Headley, he's a much better hitter versus right than he is left. His zone is going to be bigger against a righty still with runners in scoring position than it is going to be left. Everything else on this is pretty straightforward. That's why I've only focused on his hitting stats. Durability, they will also move up and down on players in order to get their overalls kind of where they want. So that's one stat that will be affected. It doesn't really come into play on online play for Diamond Dynasty, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Reaction is very important. It's something that you should pay attention to in defense. When you get guys that are doing the kind of hesitation step in the outfield, their reaction's probably pretty bad. Base running aggressiveness doesn't matter. Now let's switch over to pitchers. I've pulled up the new Paul Skeens cover card here just to use as an example. I'm going to go over the most important stats first. Let's start with hits per nine. Hits per nine affects your opponent's inner PCI. The higher the number, the smaller PCI. Ks per nine affects your opponent's outer PCI, but it also affects their swing timing. In the hitters, we talked about how there was a stat that affected timing and improves just lates and just earlys to good and perfects. Well, this does the opposite for pitchers. It will shrink that window. BB per nine or walks per nine affects your circle around the outside of your pitcher's ball. So the higher this number is, the more accurate your pitches are going to be. That moves us over to control, which someone would ask, what does control do then? The control stat in the bar here doesn't do too much, but your control stat for individual pitches up above me here will actually affect how close to the circle around the ball a pitch gets on a non-perfect pitch. And if you didn't know that, you can toggle these stats above me here with the right stick, and you can go pitch control, pitch break, pitch velocity. Now, similar to hitters, your pitching clutch affects your hits per nine with runners in scoring position. That's the inner PCI. So that pretty much sums up what the stats do for both hitters and pitchers in MLB The Show 25. If you have any questions, hit me up on my link tree, which has my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube, and I would love to hear from you. Swing away.